All right, welcome in. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network and welcome to our guest today. Hello, Laura. How are you?
I'm terrific and really happy to be here.
Wonderful. It's really nice to have you. And I know we've connected somehow on Facebook for quite a while. I don't know how that happened. I know that we are from the similar area in BC. So whether we have similar friends or who knows, but I love how we connect and you know, connections are easy to make nowadays, which is kind of why we're doing this Women's Wellness Network. So, first of all, Laura, why don't you tell us where you are in the world and what it is, what is it that makes Laura Laura?
Okay. Well, I'm living in Maple BC, which is close to where you normally are in Mission, and just outside of in the Greater Vancouver area. And I'm a spiritual counselor and an intuitive coach slash psychic medium. So I do a lot of different things, but the main thing I do is I help people make their lives work. Whether that be relationships, their job, their business, their family. I go into all kinds of things. I say I have very broad degrees of woo-woo, depending on how far you want to go down the rabbit hole. But I always say that I am probably the most grounded and centered woo-woo person you will ever meet. Um, I'm very practical about my spirituality, just as I am about looking at how people use religion and different beliefs. Because my belief system says if it's not serving you in your day-to-day life, then really your spirituality or your religion is not really working for you. Because that's the whole idea. It needs to serve us and it needs to help us grow and it needs to help us deal with different challenges that we have in this schoolhouse earth, or it's really not doing us a lot of good.
Right? That's so true. Well, I mean, that's the thing. If we can't figure it out, we need to navigate so we can figure it out. There's
Exactly.
got to be yeah, there's got to be something there. So yeah, looking at it. So when you work with people, um, tell us some of the things that you know, implement or some of the basic things, the very first things maybe that you start off helping people with.
Well, usually people come to me for some kind of clarification or direction. They've got questions in their life. There's things happening that they may not understand. They may come to me often to get not just clarification, but I'm looking for the word. I hate this one. I can't find a word. Um, when they want to verify something from their own intuition. Okay. Confirmation. There we
Yeah,
go. It's
there you
Monday
go.
morning and Laura's in the other side of her brain. By the way, this whole conversation, I'm actually, I don't normally use the word channeling, but it's probably the easiest short form way to describe what I'm doing right now. Because when I'm speaking to you, I'm not just speaking to you for myself or my own higher self. My whole group is speaking through me to you and to your listeners to give them the information that they need at this particular moment in time. Does that make sense?
Beautiful. Absolutely. Yes, I always say that, right? Like, let what needs to be said come out, and
Yeah.
those who need to hear it. Because that's important, I think, in the end, right? We're like um, trying to connect with one another, but a lot of it's just this, too much of this, not enough inside of that.
that's exactly what I was going to say. And that's another huge part of what spirit, when I'm working with spirit and when I'm working with a client, is a huge part of that is connecting head and heart, because that is one of our biggest challenges. Because it's really funny. We just talked about this before we actually came on the live recording. And, I said we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. So it's really necessary to get that heart-mind connection, because when we're connecting with our heart, we're doing it from a spiritual dynamic. When we're just in our heads, we're in this whole logic, rational thinking mind, which is so cluttered with all this brainwashing and all these things that we've been taught since we, basically popped out.
Right.
And that's not usually who we really are, okay? Who we're really meant to be. And I term that our authentic self. And that's a lot of what I help people to do is to learn and recognize, find out in some cases, because some people don't have a clue, um, who that person is, who is their authentic self. Because a lot of people these days are looking to find their purpose, their mission, however you want to put it. And honestly, you can't even begin to start to look at that until you really make that connection with who you really are, your authentic self, because that's how you find your way to your mission, your purpose that you actually decided on before you even got here. Okay. We make all those decisions on the other side before we come into each lifetime. And our core group, which I call our team of guides and angels and masters, whatever you want to call them, by the way, they don't care. That's a whole human thing. Okay.
Labels. I don't like
They
labels
come
either.
in. Yeah, they no, they come in with a great, and they don't even care about names. Like you could call them Bob, Sally, and Sue for all they care. But we are all put into these hierarchies, and we've got to label everything and all
Right.
that. And they just actually, a big part of their message is they want us to let that go because it's not really spiritual. It is very much a human thing. So they want us to kind of let that go and start thinking of us more as, we're all one. We're definitely still all individuals. I don't, there's some people who have this belief that because we're all one, we lose our individuality. But I'll tell you right now, from being a medium, even when we're on the other side, we may be in a higher perspective and back in our light bodies and all those good things, and in more in how would I put it, in concert, more connected to everyone else, but we still have our individuality. And that's what I think is really important for people to know, that regardless of when we're in body or out of body, there's an individual spark, there's an individual identity to us, whether it's here or on the other side.
Yeah, you just kind of really struck that chord with me when you just said about the concert and the harmony. And I think, of the symphony, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's their own instrument, and we can make this beautiful music, I guess, together. But we all have our own quality. And yeah, I totally get that. So,
Sometimes my guides are really funny. They just said sometimes we just make a glorious noise.
right? Oh, yeah, that's amazing. Oh, I love that. Yes, that's so true.
Which I usually refer to as my singing. I say I don't know how to sing, but I am capable of making a glorious noise.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to borrow that one. That's amazing. Okay, that's
Actually,
beautiful.
I think that's out of the Bible, actually.
Oh, no.
Somewhere in the Bible, yes. I think I stole that. So I have to give credit where credit is due. Yeah, the saying.
Well, that's fair.
I'm pretty sure it's a saying out of the Bible. Yes.
Okay,
Just one
so
of the many spiritual books that I have read. So that's
that's
another
very
thing,
cool.
both me and my guides are very, I've always been into all different religions, different belief systems, thing from metaphysical to ancient religions, ancient belief system, all that kind of thing. So I just believe, and I've been shown over and over again, that nobody has the whole truth. Okay, and this is the problem with our religions these days, and even some people in the quote unquote spiritual movement or new thought movement.
Right.
We've kind
Hmm.
of got rid of that word new age, which is probably a good thing.
Thankfully.
Um, but it's still around. But even some of those people got very they took on their own what I call religiosity. Like you can't be spiritual if you do this, and you have to do in order to be spiritual, you have to do this and all that and that's all very much reminiscent of some of these organized religions that a lot of people have come
Totally.
from. Okay.
Yeah, I
So that
totally
to
hear that.
me is not spirituality or new thought. That's simply putting new words on old ideas.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Totally it is.
Yeah. So, but in terms of if, people really want to know, I have people from every kind, every religion, every belief system, people who don't even believe, which I really have fun with, people who don't, well, I guess what you'd call atheists, because they don't believe that there's anything beyond this world. And that's usually doesn't last too long around me.
Right.
I guess there's just too much evidence. I always say I don't care what you believe, but everybody needs to believe in something beyond themselves because there definitely is a lot beyond us. And if you're simply stuck in that going, okay, there's nothing, there's me, there's this life, and then it's kind of all over and there's oblivion. You can believe that if you want, but it doesn't really serve you.
No, of course
And,
not.
a lot of people, call that being asleep, um,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
in this sort of spiritual new thought movement, right? But people are waking up, if you want to use another phrase from that genre, um, in tens and tens of thousands, like people, I see it all around me, like people I would
Yeah.
have
Me too.
never thought would, yeah, entertain any of these ideas. In fact, I just met, I met this guy and I was shocked because usually this stuff comes out of my mouth. I just had said something, oh, like, I feel like I've known you forever. And he goes, you know what? I think maybe we had a past life experience together, and my head just whipped around so fast I almost gave myself an X-ray because he was a person that I would have never expected something like that to come out of his mouth, and it did. So this is what I'm saying. There's a lot, it's a very, very different world
Yes.
than it was even pre-COVID, okay, which is
Yeah.
about, for sake of argument, say like 5 years ago, okay?
Yeah.
So it's not even 10, and it's a super different world than it was 10 years ago, okay?
Right.
But even 5 years ago, things have escalated so quickly, it's actually really mind-blowing, even for
It's
me.
amazing. It's so exciting and interesting. And
Yes.
I love seeing people that, along my journey of life, as you say, you would never think that they would even entertain the thought of anything that's in the spiritual realm. And I see them doing it continuously. And it's so exciting to me because I know the benefits of it. I know how much your life can improve when you realize and you work through your stuff. And you said before, one of my big things is know thyself. And I think that's where you kind of have to
Yeah.
start, right? So people like you really help others start to discover that, that who am I and how do I figure that out? So that's part of my journey too, is helping people just start to get on the path. Let's just plant a seed and let's just start going.
Well, I call it living from the inside out because this 3D material world has taught us over and over again, since we basically popped out.
Yeah,
I love that expression, since we popped out, um, that everything is from the outside in. Like, even to a certain extent, some things in some of the organized religions, they're still working from the outside in instead of from the inside out. And I kind of look at this and go, wait a minute.
yeah,
That's not what the teachers said. That's not what Muhammad said. That's not what Jesus said. That's not what Mother Mary talked about.
right,
Everything in that sense was from the inside out. And this is what bothers me is there's nothing wrong with any of the religions. What's wrong with them is they have been interpreted by us and
right,
twisted. And if you've actually read the scriptures, it doesn't matter whether it's Hinduism or a
right,
Muslim or Islam, Christianity, whatever. A lot of what's being preached by, the how shall we say, the guardians of each faith, which I don't think a lot of them are very good guardians, but that's another story. It's actually not what's in their own literature, and it's been subverted and it's been twisted by humanness, human
Yeah.
beings. This is
Yeah.
what
It's
started
very
all the
sad.
wars,
Yeah. It's very
Um,
sad because
you
we've
know,
had so many advances. And I think maybe now the world, we're seeing ourselves as more global. We're seeing ourselves, the information is right there. It's easy to
yes,
access. We can learn about each other. We can ask the questions. We can go to groups like the Women's Wellness Network and really actually learn about one another so that we're not, um, we're taking the fear out of it. And and that knowledge is power. Of course, we know that's to be true. And yeah, I think it's time. And I really see that people are starting to get on that wave. And I hope it's a tsunami because I want it to be, carried worldwide because it's the best way to live. I mean, from my own perspective, my own healing journey. Um, if I hadn't gone on it, I would not be where I am today. And wow, just like life changing and life
exactly.
altering, right?
Yeah.
So you have to tell me, were you always in tune with your guides? Were you always, um, or was there a moment that went, "Hello, I'm still here. Hello," like, and woke you up to come
Okay,
back to it?
I had sort of I had pinnacle experiences along the way. Okay. When I was, because I wasn't brought up in, my family wasn't even really religious. I think the only thing closest to religion was when we were very small. I think when I was about 4 or 5, we went to Baptist Sunday school, but we didn't
Mhm.
go to church. But my mom, for whatever reason, sent us to Sunday school, and that was only a short while. Okay, and that was done, right? So it's not like I even came from any kind of religious background, but when I was about, I must have been around 10 or 11. I lived in just out northern burbs of Toronto, which are now cities, but at that time they were burbs. And I was lucky to live in a neighborhood that had about at least a half a dozen churches of every description you could think of, kind of within walking distance of my home. So I decided at the tender age of 10 or 11 that I was going to find out where God and the angels were because I wanted to know where God and the angels were, and nobody was giving me an answer that I could deal with, that I believed. And so, as a young child, you're always, no matter if you're religious or not, the idea is, God is at a church somewhere,
Right.
you got to go to church in order to find God. So, as was the custom in those days, I dressed up in my Sunday finest, which was unbelievable because I was a real little tomboy, and getting me into a skirt, period, was like unbelievable. But anyway, I did it. And so off Laura trotted every Sunday for probably about 6 or 8 weeks to a different church every Sunday. And I had lots of I had some wonderful experiences. I had some not so wonderful experiences. I met a lot of really nice people, and I met some people that I didn't particularly care for. But by the end of all of it, I decided definitely that God and the Angels was not a church. There were some nice people, there was some nice music. Some of the things were nice, and some of them weren't. But God and the Angels definitely was not a church. So that was my first little foray on my spiritual journey. My second real big sort of pinnacle experience was when I was about 15. I had spent my early teens and onward doing a lot of camping and backpacking and canoe tripping, being in the wilderness. And I really discovered that my church was where I connected to spirit was in the wilderness, was in nature. Okay. And then when I was about 15, I was on the top of a cliff. We had been climbing and rappelling off this cliff. And I had this incredible out of body experience. And that just wow, that just changed my idea of how the world worked because I shot out of my body and all of a sudden I was looking down at the people and my friends on the cliff. And then all of a sudden I shot a higher again, and all of a sudden I was looking at the earth from above the earth, and I'm like, wow, what is going on here? This is pretty cool. And it was wonderful because I wasn't afraid. I was felt expanded, like I felt massive, like that I was connected to everything. And then the third time I again shot up higher and I was out in the galaxy somewhere looking at all these spiral universes. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. And just as I was kind of looking around, getting used to this place, all of a sudden it was like I was just catapulted like at unbelievable speed and just thrust back into my body. I was very uncomfortable, by the way, and because I was in such an expanded state, and your whole soul, a lot of people don't know this, your whole soul doesn't fit into your body. It's only one small part of it. But even that part being so expanded, it was like, oh my God, it was like stuffing an elephant into a Coke bottle is what it felt like. And it actually took me several days after that experience to feel comfortable in my body yet. But what actually happened is one of the instructors that was with us got nervous about the fact that I was standing so close to the edge of the cliff and had grabbed the back of my pants and yanked me back. And when he yanked me back, that's what yanked my consciousness back into my body. So that was another experience. Then I went all over the place through my 20s. 20s were kind of a rocky period. Wasn't a lot of spirituality going on in my 20s. In my 30s, I started getting back into it. And my 40s, I really, really got heavily into it. So, and then I started doing readings and things for people on the side whilst I was working in my corporate career in advertising and marketing. And then about 10 years ago, I ditched that because that was enough of that. And I actually started my full-time practice. So I've been doing this full time now for actually over 10 years, probably about 10 and a half years or so.
Awesome.
So that's
Awesome.
kind of the story.
Yeah, well, that's if women would like to find out more about you or want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, if you want to find out more, there's more information on my website at www.spiritspeakstome. The two, well, www.spiritspeaks2, the number two, dot me. Okay. Or you can reach me on Facebook. I'm all over Facebook, both on my own private page and on my Facebook group, which is Spirit Speaks to Me. If you really want to connect with me and you really want to set up a session or you have a specific question, best to email me. And it's really easy. I'm sure you're going to have some show notes or something. But anyway, it's just Laura Hoorweg at gmail.com. So it's not tricky at all.
Nice and simple. Perfect. Okay. And you work with people in person and online?
Right now, when I'm doing individual sessions, it's all on Zoom because I've just found that it works fantastic. I do some local group sessions, which are mediumship
Okay.
sessions. And I also do my single private sessions on Zoom, and I also do my intuitive coaching program, which is called Create the Life That You Really Want.
Simple and perfect,
Imagine
right to the
that.
point, right? Because we can
Yeah.
do it.
And I call it coaching, but it's really not coaching, okay? Because there really isn't a word for it. It's more like mentoring, but it's even not that because we're working directly with spirit. And that's what I love about spirit because regular coaching, traditional coaching tends to put band-aids on things. It treats symptoms as opposed to often getting right to the root of things. The reason I love working with spirit is spirit always goes right to the root of an issue. And it doesn't matter whether that issue is from this particular lifetime or from a former lifetime, which is a lot of things that we have. People don't realize that we carry a lot of energies forward because we didn't manage to heal them or release them in a past life. So they are carried forward, and a lot of these times, these energies trigger things to happen in this particular lifetime
Right.
so that we can heal those things because we didn't do it last time, so we get to do it again. Imagine that. Yeah, it's all fun. But it's all about, all this work is really the bottom line is our whole purpose on being here on planet Earth is to evolve our souls. So it's everybody asks me, okay, well, when does it end? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but it doesn't end. And our involvement is not only here, but it's also continues on the other side, which a lot of people think we just go over there and then it's party time and you lay back and sip smoothies with angels or something. But no, that's not what happens. We continue to
Yeah.
evolve and we continue to do things on the other side. But the point is, it's so much slower on the other side. That's why everybody wants to get in here. That's why there's so many people on Earth, okay? And I was actually told not too long ago that the actual carrying capacity of the Earth is 10 billion souls. They keep telling us that we're way over the mark and all that. Because I think there's like 7 or 8 billion of us now.
8.
So we
Yep,
are
8.
we are pro we got a couple more billion to go. But that's really apparently the true carrying capacity of the Earth. So it's just the fact that we're not managing the Earth very well. Like,
Right.
we're doing all things, but that's a whole nother thing. But,
Right.
that's why we're here. So, and that's why so many people want to get in, because the way we learn the fastest is through challenges. That's why I say there's
Right.
always challenges. Okay.
Yes.
And the reason we learn much slower on the other side is because all those challenges don't really happen on the other side. Okay. So yes, we're evolving, but we're evolving on a much, much slower scale, which is why people want to be here, because it's really powerful. And this planet, this energy that we live in is very unique. This is
Mm.
not only me saying this, but you've probably heard this from other people who are connected, that planet Earth is very, very, it's a very unique place, which
Yes.
is why there's souls from everywhere. We're all old souls. Okay, this is something else people get really confused about. Our souls have all been around for a very, very long time. But when it comes to speaking about old souls and new souls on the earth, what that just refers to is, if you say an old soul, somebody's an old soul, what that means is that they've had many, 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 many incarnations here on Earth, so they really know how it works. Okay, so that's what an old soul means. If you say somebody's a new soul, it could be, either their first sojourn into the Earth, or they've only had a few and they really don't know how it works. They've got problems with the energy. And a lot of the new kids coming in, by the way, this is the problem why they're having so many challenges and stuff when they're children, is because they're simply very new to the earth. It could be their first time, or they've only been here several times, and it's very hard for them to adjust, shall we say, to the
Right.
energies of the earth and how things work here. And this is why, I'm sure this is why we have all these things, like, they talk about ADD and ADHD and all these things. Um, yes, there are real situations where people have chemical imbalances. There is bodily issues, but there's nowhere near the amount that they diagnose people, and that's a whole nother
That
rabbit
is the
hole.
truth. Oh yeah,
If you
that's a
want to go
whole other
down there,
rabbit hole. Maybe next time, my
sometime,
love.
we'll go down there. But it's just not the case. It's just that these individuals are having a problem. They're having issues because they're not used to the energies of Earth, or there's so much a higher vibration than what they're being exposed to, that they're having a real problem. Like, it's not their problem, it's actually our problem. Or if you want to look at it a different way, it's the problem that their energy is so much a higher vibration than what's on the earth right now. It's very difficult for them to deal with. So that's why they're having issues. It's really not them per se.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally get that. So
Yeah.
hopefully, in the future, we will all be rising. We will all be raising our frequency and really stepping into who we're supposed to be, who we're meant to be, so that we are not magnetizing this heaviness and creating chaos for other people. Because if we're chaotic inside of ourselves, our energy is messing up everybody else's too. So yeah, it's time for us to get square, get straight, get centered, get right with
Well,
yourself.
I'll
Because
tell you a
why not?
secret. Nobody is going to have, because the actual vibration of the earth, in case you haven't noticed, is raising so quickly. You kind of used to have, it used to be kind of a conscious choice. If you decided to evolve, you evolved, and if you decided to stay where you were. When the energies were much lower and much denser vibration. But now the energies are being refined so much, so quickly that actually people don't have, really, the choice is gone. Okay. The choice is more about how you embrace it. Yeah, exactly. But it's not, people are simply not going to have the option of staying where they always have been, because their own physical bodies, the vibration of their bodies, because of all these energies that are coming into Earth, simply cannot stay the same. They will shift and they will change. This will be a big problem for people. Okay, I'm not talking about kids now. I'm talking about adults. Okay, and
Yeah,
that's why you're seeing a lot of adults with. So that's why there's a epidemic of depression, anxiety, all those things that are going on, and people just not being able to deal. Okay.
right,
And the reason is because their bodies energetically and their souls are elevating in vibration, but they're not, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not consciously involved. They're not
right.
consciously involved in that progression, and they're fighting it. And this is why they're having so many problems. Okay.
Yeah,
And even for sensitives like me and other people, this energy has been very difficult. And I know how to do this stuff. I've been
right.
doing it for years. It's been very challenging and there's a lot of what I call highly sensitive people that aren't necessarily, working as consciously or as intuitives or healers or anything like that. Um, but they are feeling these same things because they're highly empathic, they're very energetically attuned, even if they don't know they are. Okay.
Right.
So it can be quite challenging. And
Yeah,
all I'm saying is the more consciously you dive into this, the better off you will be. Okay.
right.
If you're simply trying to hang on for the ride unconsciously, it's going to be a pretty rough ride. It's, because if you're conscious and you're aware of what's going on, you can help yourself, you can help your body, you can, there's all different tools out there, really simple stuff that you can do to help yourself stay more centered and grounded. And that, it's sort of been the buzzwords for a long time, but it's just, it used to be option. I say it this way. It used to be optional to stay centered and grounded. It's no longer optional. It's an absolute necessity. And if you're not centered and grounded, you're going to have a rough trip. Okay. It's
Yep, that's a
basically
fact.
it's basically like going down the rapids and getting dumped out of the raft and floating down the rapids with just your life jacket on. And if that's ever happened to you, you have no idea what a nasty ride that can be, because you're getting pushed against rocks, you're getting pushed under the water, you're all, the water's just taking you and you're out of control. Now, you can, even in that situation, by the way, because I took some training around that, there's techniques even for that. Okay. If you find yourself in a rapid, there's techniques to survive that, even if you've been ejected from the raft. Okay. So I think that's a really good metaphor for what's going on right now, and that's what people have to
Absolutely.
learn. They have to learn some skills. They have
Yep.
to be conscious so they don't go, so they can discover, they're aware of what's going on. Okay. Because when you're aware of what's going on, you don't go immediately into fear. Okay. But if you're not, and you're having all these wild experiences and you don't understand what's going on, and you don't know why you're reacting the way you're reacting, that's pretty frightening for most people, okay? Because it can be a little bit challenging, shall we say, even if you know what's going on. So if
Right.
you don't know, that's not a really good place to be in. So that's a
No.
big part of what Spirit has told me over and over again, why they're here, why they're helping us, is to help us to know what's going on, to understand it, and to be able to work with it so that we don't get ourselves and we don't find ourselves floating down a rapid with just a little life jacket on.
Thanks.
Or no life. Actually, I just
Or
thought
no
about that.
life jacket.
Or no life jacket at all. Okay. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of people like that too. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're floating down that rapid with a life jacket on, you've got a chance of making it to the end. If you don't have a life jacket on, kind of iffy if
Yeah,
you're going to
right.
make it to the end. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm gonna have to cut us here. Um, we've had our half an hour, and I could probably sit here and talk to you for another half an hour at least.
Oh, I can
But
go on a long time.
oh, it's amazing. I love the information that you brought, and I think it's really relatable and easy for people to understand what it is that you do and even why you do it. So thank you so much for that. Great information always, that's what we say, right? Knowledge is power. So when we have good
Yes.
information, we want to get it out there and share it with other people. So thank you so much for coming today. It was wonderful to have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was really fun.
Nice, thank you. And Women of the Women's Wellness Network, if you would like to reach out and find out more about Laura, we will put all of her contact information into the comments. And yeah, go see what she has to offer. And if you know anybody who's maybe having little bit of a trouble there, she's somebody great that you can little nudge, a little suggestion. Never hurts anything, right? So thank you for watching today. And of course, until next time, be well. And thank you,
Thank
Laura.
thank you.